Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing the tools, tips, and techniques that I use to improve my ear training in music theory class. All the tools are free and super easy to use, so if you're lazy like me, you'll definitely appreciate this video. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Carlos, a music student and composer in the Chicago area, and on this channel we explore how to lead more productive lives as composers and musicians. So I'm a first year music student at my university, and back in high school I took AP music theory class and I got a 5 on the last exam. And I've learned a lot about how to improve ear training, which is one of the most important skills in that class. And it's not only one of the most important skills in music theory class, it's super useful if you want to become a composer, and even for a musician just playing, it can be really beneficial to know, how to identify intervals or knowing the qualities of chords. So today I'm going to be focusing on improving your skills to identify intervals and different chord qualities, as these are one of the most fundamental skills. First, let's talk about intervals. Now, if I were to play two notes in succession, B flat and F, would you be able to tell me the distance between those two notes? And most of you know this as a perfect fifth, but if I were to play these notes at the same time, sometimes it's harder to tell how to differentiate between those two pitches. Now, playing two notes together is called harmonic intervals, and playing them in succession is called melodic. So tip number 1, if you're given two pitches that are played harmonically or together, my tip is to try to differentiate the two pitches in your head. Try to separate them so you can hear them separately. So try to think of the high one and the low one, and then play them in succession in your head. And then you might be able to tell that this is a major third. Now, over time and through lots of practice, you'll be able to easily differentiate pitches in your head when they're played together. And again, this just comes with a lot of practice. Now, one of the most common ways of identifying intervals is to use popular songs that have that specific interval in it. For example, in Star Wars, you have a perfect fifth. So knowing popular songs that have a certain interval in it is a great way to memorize all of them. So here are some examples. Minor second, Jaws. Major second, Happy Birthday. Minor third, Brahms' Lullaby. Major third, Kumbaya. Perfect fourth, Here Comes the Bride. Tritone, Maria. Perfect fifth, Star Wars theme. Minor sixth, The Entertainer. Major sixth, NBC Chimes. Minor 7, Chameleon. Major 7, Take On Me. Tip number 3. This is another last-ditch effort if you cannot figure out what that interval is, and it's a way of stacking different smaller intervals to get up to the interval you're hearing. So for example, if you're given these two pitches together, one way I do it is trying to fill in a triad below it. So, and then specifically for this interval, which is a minor 7th, I can hear the triad below it, and then the minor 7th is added to it. So this is really helpful when you have 7th chords. For example, if you're given these two pitches, it might be helpful to fill the triad under it. So, and then you can figure out that this is a major 7th. Tip number 4. This is another last-ditch effort that you might use, and it might be a little more helpful. And this is helpful when you get major 7ths. So if you have these two notes, it might be helpful to think that this resolves up. In another case, you might hear a tritone. And in my head, I have my own compositions where I have this tritone resolved down to the major third. So immediately when I hear this interval, I want to resolve down. And traditionally, tritones don't really resolve anywhere, so in my head they do. So try to find these little quirks and idiosyncrasies that you can use to your advantage when you're identifying these intervals. Now moving on to chord qualities. Now, chord qualities are kind of split into two different groups. You have triads, which is just 3 notes together, and then you have seventh chords, which is 4 notes together, and they're just thirds stacked on top of each other. And there's different qualities you can have. For triads, you can have a major triad, minor, you can have augmented, and you can have diminished. For seventh chords, you can have a little bit more. You can have a major 7, minor 7, you can have a diminished, half diminished, and you can have a fully diminished 7. It's a matter of trying to stack the intervals inside that triad to figure out what quality it is. So one of my favorite techniques for seventh chords, so if we take a C major 7, for example, there's a certain quality, a certain tone color in my head when I listen to a seventh chord. To me, it's the most jazzy of the other ones, so if I hear something like this, or I'll play them in different keys, I can usually hear the 7 going to the 1. For a minor 7, I try to listen to that minor third, and that's how I differentiate it. For half diminished and diminished, the difference is, well, you have a diminished triad at the bottom, and the seventh is going to be different. So the 7 here, it might be here, it might be here. There's a certain sound. This is fully diminished, half diminished. Half diminished is obviously a little bit lighter because obviously the 7th is not as low as the fully diminished 7. So it takes a lot of practice. There's a website that I use called musictheory.net. It's free and it's absolutely fantastic. It goes through a ton of examples of different chord qualities, and of course there's other tools on the website, but specifically for identifying the qualities of seventh chords, and they also have some interval practice. It's really helpful to just practice through them and just develop your ear over time. And of course, the key word is over time. This takes a while to get good at, and you're not going to expect any vast improvements overnight. So with a lot of practice and in conjunction with using the tools like musictheory.net, and just going on the piano if you have access to one and just trying to play 2 notes and trying to find that interval. I think this is a minor 6. It is a minor 6, yeah. So in my head I heard the entertainer. I can't play piano. It's a matter of using different tools and whatever works best for you. So if you have any other good suggestions for improving your ear training other than just practicing like crazy, leave them in the comment section down below so we can help fellow musicians on this channel. Since ear training is such an essential skill to a composer and all musicians in general, I think it's really important that we focus on this and support each other when we all need some help. But anyways guys, thanks for watching and keep writing.